Encouraging girls to do science has always been a problem, and some still see it as a male-dominated domain. There have been a couple of instances recently that have really highlighted this as a problem. So I present to you Exhibit A, the European Commission's campaign to get girls into science. Science. It's a girl thing. In case you haven't seen it before, the link's below, but basically it's just a fashion shoot with a few sciencey bits thrown in, such as a male scientist in a lab coat ogling the girls, and equations written in lipstick. So I have a couple of issues with this video. First of all, it makes a huge assumption that girls are only interested in the areas of science that are typically seen as the female domain, such as makeup formulation, because, you know, they couldn't possibly want to go into space or solve the world energy crisis. And, you know, it's just patronising, so I think that girls should instead be encouraged to follow whatever they're passionate in, even if it's seen as a male-dominated area of science. Also, in an attempt to be feminine, this video paints an unrealistic view of what science is. The girls come in high heels and skimpy outfits, and don't get me wrong, you can be a scientist and feminine, but you can also be feminine without the skimpy outfits. I mean, they're in a lab, they're in high heels and skimpy outfits, it's just unsafe. They also don't put their goggles on until the end of the video. That would just never be allowed in the real world. The guy looking on in the video seems to have a confused expression on his face. I mean, how could girls possibly be interested in science? This might be nitpicking, but it's little details like this, and replacing the I in science with a lipstick that are just unnecessary and patronising. Now, this campaign actually does have some really good videos of real women in science, but it's just been hidden behind and tainted by this video. I mean, in summary, it's a really good cause. I mean, we do need to encourage girls to go into science, but it was just poorly executed, and because of the Twitter backlash, this video has actually been pulled from the campaign. So now on to Exhibit B. Recent project Everyday Sexism highlighted the fact that Asda and other shops splits its magazines into women's and men's lifestyle. Now, it particularly annoyed me that science is classed as men's lifestyle, and I tweeted about this and I got into a really heated argument with someone. He argued that if women were interested in science, it would be marketed to them, and because the majority of scientists are men, it should be in the men's lifestyle section. Oh no, I hadn't realised. I assumed that being into chemistry would be fine because I was told it was just like cooking. Okay, so it is true that more scientists are men. But it's the assumption that women can't be interested in science that's causing part of the problem. I mean, it's so ingrained into society with things like the magazine stands that science is a male domain that it really starts to turn girls off to science from an early age. I mean, as an aside, there really shouldn't be gender-specific magazine racks at all. Hilariously enough, the guy argued that because he's not interested in clothes and cooking and babies, that they should all be in the women's section. I mean, just don't buy them then. Are you seriously going to be confused as to what you like and what you don't like just because they're not in gender-specific sections? I mean, people should be able to be interested in and passionate about what they want, and they don't need signs to tell them what they should be reading. He also said to me, don't you have bigger fish to fry, such as attitudes to science as a whole in society? Well, yes, this is a huge problem, but you seem to be separating sexism from everything else when it's actually just part of the bigger issue. Marketing is often sexist, and attitudes to science are often sexist. I mean, think of your stereotypical man in a white coat. If we don't tackle these sub-problems, then the bigger issues will never be solved, and that even means starting as small as gender-specific categorisation of magazines. I mean, we should be sending out a message that you should follow your interests whether you're a man or a woman, because science should be for everyone. So after 2 whole hours of arguing, he finally backed down. And thanks to the power of the Twitter folk, Asda are removing all gender-specific signage. I think this is a big step forward, but we've still got a long way to go before we can get true gender equality within science.